Router table versus shaper. The biggest difference between the two is the type of cutter they use and how they are powered. Router tables use router bits that have a shank permanently attached to the cutter and a router mounted under the table. Shapers have a spindle that accepts a cutter head that slides onto the spindle. Let's dive into the video. Number 1. Difference between a shaper and a router table. The biggest difference between the two is the type of cutter they use and how they are powered. Router tables use router bits that have a shank permanently attached to the cutter and a router mounted under the table. Shapers have a spindle that accepts a cutter head that slides onto the spindle. Spindle sizes range from 1/2 diameter all the way up to 1 1/4 in diameter and are built for heavier duty use than a router. Shapers use a motor with a belt drive to power the spindle and can deliver more torque than a router. Number 2. When would a shaper be a better choice than a router table? Shapers are very well suited to high volumes of work or heavy work like door making. The heavy-duty spindle and large diameter cutters can improve the life expectancy of the cutters and improve cutting action, especially on large cuts like raising panels. The power and mass of the shaper and shaper cutter allows heavy cuts to be made in a single pass where multiple passes would be required at the router table. Number 3. Why are some shapers reversible? While I'm not an expert on the origins of reversible shapers, I do know that this can be a very handy feature. With a router you can only make cuts in one direction. In some cases, it may be desirable to run material in the opposite direction. The grain direction on the workpiece might be a good reason to reverse the direction of cut in order to avoid tear out. Number 4. Can you run router bits in a shaper? Sometimes. Many shapers come with a router collet that can be installed in place of the spindle. However, shapers typically spin at a much lower RPM than routers. This is acceptable for large diameter bits like the Infinity Tools Mega Dado and Planer bit or OG raised panel router bit with back cutter, but it's much too slow for a bit such as a 1/4 roundover bit. Number 5. What size shaper should I buy? This greatly depends on the work you plan to do. Shapers come in many different sizes and configurations. If you're a serious hobby or custom furniture maker, a small shaper with a 3/4 spindle may be all you need. There's no question that purchasing cutter heads and knives for a shaper are an investment. But the trade-off is that you can cut larger profiles more quickly. Plus, shaper cutters typically last longer than router bits between sharpenings. Router bits, on the other hand, offer a wider selection of profiles at a lower cost. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe our channel.